Sonar sends the signals into the water and the sound waves bounce back when they hit an object. The remaining signal continues to the seabed and then reflects back to the boat. By observing sonar and reading charts, fishermen can determine the location of the groper. Additionally, they can gauge the distance from the groper from the surface and the seabed. In shallow waters around 20 feet deep, fishermen set the sonar to 180 kHz. These waters around Indonesia are amazing. They are full of healthy fish and tiny squid. There are thousands of species of seafood that call this sea their home. This is also a place fishermen do not want to miss out on. Now let's watch how Indonesian fishermen catch millions of tons of seafood. Indonesia has the second longest coastline in the world. The underwater scenery here is breathtaking, as are the coral reefs, which are home to many of the world's largest varieties of lobster. The town of Pantai Geseng is located in the volatile south coast of central Java. Here, fishermen often focus on catching lobsters and are prohibited from catching lobsters lighter than 300 grams or with shells smaller than 8 centimeters. Lobsters are caught using a variety of fishing gear throughout the year. But in Indonesia, lobster fishermen mainly use specialized lobster nets or traps. This primitive fishing method is carried out on small boats. For fishermen in Pantai Geseng, catching lobster is very easy. They just need to go to the sea in the bay near their home and fish, and they only spend around $8 in fuel per trip. In this area, fishermen often set nets to catch lobsters. This is because the sea here is too deep to use traps. Lobsters caught in traps are often still alive, so fishermen only keep those that are larger than the limit. But lobsters caught in nets are often dead when pulled out. The number of lobsters caught in the net is not very many. Removing spiny lobsters from the net is rather difficult. Fishermen must be very skillful so that the lobster still has enough claws to sell at a high price. They also want to be gentle so that the net does not tear, because the catch depends a lot on the quality of the net. Lobsters are preserved in seawater to maintain freshness and cell fall. After catching, lobsters are put into mesh bags. They are then soaked in seawater again so that they are still alive and fresh when brought ashore. If the catch is high and the quality of lobsters are good, traders can buy them for $20 per kilogram. Indonesia is an important country in the global seafood industry, focusing on tuna and squid. The country's squid fishing and processing industry has seen significant growth. With 95,000 tons of squid, green lights are especially effective when fishing. Indonesian squid fishing vessels often move in groups of 20 to 30 vessels. The squid in this area is surrounded by bright lights throughout the night. Traditional techniques are also one of the best for commercial fishing. Squid are caught using fishing lines equipped with jigs, usually seen on small vessels registered with 12 to 15 miles off the eastern coast of Medan. Some fishermen catch squid by pulling on a rope. This is one of the most popular techniques for catching them. Fishermen need to throw squid bait and then wait a few seconds until the bait touches the bottom. Then they pull the rope and raise the fishing line up and down. You can relax or stop for a few seconds to let the bait sink and then slowly jerk it back up. This technique makes the bait move continuously and attracts the squid. When hooked, the squid doesn't protest much, so there aren't many signs. But fishermen will feel the fishing line is a little heavier. Fishermen need to pull up the fishing line and reel it in gently. This is because sometimes the tentacles can escape the hooks if the fishermen reel too hard. Choosing the right bait is one of the important parts of squid fishing. Therefore, it is necessary to prepare bait according to colour and light reflection. Choosing the colour of squid bait can determine the success or failure. Belitong choose squid fishing because it's easy to catch them and they have a high selling value, bringing in more profit than other types of fishing. Indonesia's tuna catch is among the top in the world all year round, accounting for around 16% of the world's total tuna supply. In 2023, the country caught and produced 790,000 tonnes of tuna. They are most common in Indonesia from May till October. Often fishermen will find large schools of tuna in deeper waters. During the spawning season, the abundant tuna resources in the Indian and Pacific Oceans will return to the Indonesian archipelago, where the sea level is shallower and richer in nutrients. This is an ideal environment for the growth and reproduction of tuna. At the same time, it is also the best time for tuna fishing and trading activities. Fishermen mainly use seine nets to catch. They will determine the current and wind direction through the movement of the boat. The net is usually placed diagonally across the water line. When all the nets and buoys are released into the sea, the fishermen have their initial success in catching. Buoys floating on the water create an enclosure. Below the sea, all the tuna will be brought on board. The tuna is pulled onto the ship using a crane and conveyor system. To ensure quality, tuna is stored immediately in cold storage to ensure the freshness of the meat. Fishermen have to go offshore for weeks looking for schools of tuna. They move very fast and can swim long distances, making casting and hauling nets very difficult. In addition, fishermen have to work in harsh conditions and must store tuna at very low temperatures to maintain quality. Fishing in Indonesia is not a hot spot, and it's not famous for its luxury vessels, but still coastal waters, from coral reefs to the edge of the continental shelf. These marlin are famous for their ability to swim fast, engage in fierce battles, and test even the sturdiest fishing rods. Therefore, marlin fishing has very little chance of success. They are also masters of escape. Fishermen must learn tricks to be able to save a lot of time and money on their trips. Every year, marlin migrate closer to shore, following the warm tropical waters south. During their migration, they will stop and feed where bait fish are abundant. And that's where fishermen focus their efforts in order to get the best fishing results. Marlin can be caught using a variety of fishing techniques, depending on the location. Ships in Indonesia often catch marlin using nets. When choosing a fisherman will start pulling the net to check if they've caught something. If they are lucky, they will discover giant marlins. The weight of the marlin is really heavy, so each batch requires around 4 to 5 fishermen to pull the net up together. They coordinated well together to control and remove the marlin from the net. To be safe, the fishermen cut off its sharp tip. This is a weapon that can injure fishermen. After this, the fishermen will wash the fish and remove any excess dirt and debris in order to prepare for the preservation process. To the seller is also quite difficult. First, the fisherman will tie down a rope to the fish's tail, and 2 people will pull the rope to bring the fish down to the ship's hold. Fishermen standing on the below deck will coordinate to reduce pressure. After sorting, the marlin is transferred to frozen storage for preservation until they reach shore.